Hello, everybody, and
Providers.
welcome
So
to Week 5 Rigged. I am your host, Chicken Sandwich, and with me is Fizek
hello.
and Squared.
Hello. The dragon stocks went up.
Yep.
Dragon stocks went up.
Yeah, look at the stream.
Oh, I should probably pull that up.
Stonk heavy.
Oh, is it the meme that you made? Sorry, I'm putting in for those of you listening, I'm currently putting in extra base hits into all the stats. Shout out to Pandora. So
let's get things started. Week 5, Day 1, Game 1. Is this Dragons team hanging 12 on the Lumberjacks, 12-1 victory over the Lumberjacks.
I mean, I'll just go out and say it. Disappointing performance. Would really like to see that go up to 15.
Oh my god, he's already doing this. Jesus.
No. Nice to see Brock Hansen rebound from his. I mean, we lost the first game of the season against a really good Vikings team, and he was no longer 7 walk Brock this game. Pitched pretty well. Especially against, I mean, no game in the Legends is a gimme, even though the scoreline would say otherwise. Like, no game is a gimme. So,
yeah, definitely not 7 walk Brock. Diamond Hands Hansen more like 10 strikeouts in this game. 2 walks, only 1 earned through 6 2/3. Then Woody Scottish with a fairly clean outing in relief, 2 1/3, only 2 hits, a walk, 2 strikeouts on top of it. 12 team strikeouts, absolutely ridiculous. Will Freishak having himself a season. Had another 3-run home run in this game.
Was that like his 3rd straight?
I think he's up to 4 when you include your other game this week. I'm pretty sure. Like, he is on fire. Pretty easy
I
to
will
say.
admit it is so hard to like watch him play because he is me. So like I usually like it's easy to be unbiased in certain times, but like whenever he is like it's so hard because he's me, you know? So like when he does well, it's me doing well.
He actually leads the league in RBIs now. He's at 16, 3 over French Pastry. But yeah, not a great game for the Lumberjacks. They were held fairly quiet. Had 8 hits. It's just one of the things. I can't remember if it was this game. I know it happened in the Knights game, but I can't remember if it happened in this game where just Lumberjacks are struggling, just leaving a lot of people on, I feel.
It's the same thing as last year. I remember they had the little meme for a while where, remember last year or last season at the beginning of the season where I think they had like 6 opportunities with bases loaded with 0 or 1 with no outs or 1 out and weren't able to score a run. And I feel like this year it's not bases loaded, but they're still leaving runners in scoring position. Looking at the stats, they only have 2 players that are batting over 300 with, a decent amount of at bats. Speedy Gonzalez 261, Shelby Callens 278. Okay, well Barco Jr. is batting 300, so 3 players. Tank Tygo's actually hitting well.
Yeah, Tank Tygo has kind of been the savior of this offense. He really had a rough rookie season. Is having a little bit of a bounce back this season, I'd say. He's probably been their most consistent, I would say.
But a couple guys, Buck Ball, Strangelove batting under 200. Buck Ball's at a disgusting 100 batting average right now. Paula Reed 222. It's just the hitting's not there. The pitching isn't there right now. Looking at their pitching,
their bullpen pitching isn't there. They still have like a legit good starting crew, but
yeah,
those relievers are rough.
Lucio Ball has been Lucio Ball. Heimerdinger's gotten roughed up, but he was pitching in this game. Steelflex actually has a 433 actually. Or no, that's innings pitch. My bad. No, Steelflex actually doing okay. Heimerdinger roughed up. He's at a 6 ERA. Withers Yao is doing okay, but Lucio Ball getting roughed up. Grayweather, who got shipped out, we'll talk about that later, gets getting roughed up, probably fingers as well. The Lumberjacks have some things to figure out, and they don't look like one of the on the top half of that conference right now.
All right, game number 2. You've got Walkers taking it to the wrong fielders, 12-2. The big story in this one was Galileo Cat coming over in the Walkers Unicorns trade and hitting 2 home runs in this game. 2 for 4, 3 runs scored, 2 home runs, 3 RBIs, a walk, no strikeouts. Michael Cox also had 2 hits, and Jimmy Bruiser coming off the bench in what was a bit of a lineup reshuffle for the Walkers going into this game. Him coming off the bench going 3 for 4 with a home run, couple RBIs. It was a good experiment for the Walkers. It really turned out in their favor, and it was nice to see Jess Tumbelow bounce back.
One note about Galileo Cat. Galileo Cat came from Corns of Pop batting 600 with 4 singles, a double, a homer, 4 walks, had a OPS of 1.71. And then first game in the majors does that. Like, that is such a good get for the Walkers, without a doubt.
Yeah, good win for the Walkers. I mean, they started out hot. Galileo Cat coming up and just doing what Galileo Cat did in the minors, just keep on going. Tumbelow finally had a nice start. But I'm a little bit worried about the Walkers pitching. Looking at this, it's not the best so far. Pearls has been one of the more consistent pitchers. He had a great start. But Tumblow's at 9 ERA, spread grade, not too great. Tamayo's been absolutely awful. Has 12 earned runs already, and you thought he would do well in that bullpen because he had a decent season on the Skulls.
Yeah, but he was the number 4 starter for the Skulls last season, I think. I'm pretty sure he was a starter. I think he was.
He was.
He was number 4. I know that.
But but this team getting carried a little bit by Dallas, Texas, 429. Cape Shaw is doing pretty well on the Walkers. But I think that's what they need from Galileo Cat. He's doing really well. If he can give them that extra boost, then that would be really beneficial for them.
Yeah, and Ty Sasso really coming back. He only had 2 outs in this game, but Sasso has really shown to kind of turned around a bit for this team this season. Nothing too much of note from the wrong fielders in this game. Only had 8 hits, and 6 of those were from Cherryter, Tracy Branch, and Went Plaintiff. And then, only other thing, Hank Murphy did record his 20th strikeout of the season in this game. Went 6 innings, 3 earned, 3 walks, only 1 strikeout, 4 hits, 1 home run. Let me take a look. What is his stats so far in the season? So Hank Murphy is probably leading the league in innings pitched, I would say. 24 2/3, 25 hits, 7 walks, a 129 whip, which isn't too bad. Just those earned runs have kind of snuck up on him, and I think a lot of those earned runs came in that Moonshots blowout. I forget how many. I think he got tagged for. Might have been half of his season number. He's at 15. Do you remember offhand? Either of you? I scroll up through his channel.
No, not off the top of my head.
I think that was a week 2 game.
What are we talking about?
Hank, 6 of his 15 earned runs came in that Moonshots game. So really, it was just one game that's really kind of blown up his ERA at just shy of 5.5. But he's having a decent season. I think he's definitely a good piece for that wrong fielders team going forward.
Yeah, I think he'll be better with especially with the specialist trait. But I do because I've been kind of thinking about this. If more specialist traits do come into the league, I think you're going to start seeing, like teams actually like changing their lineup for special, like start loading their lineup with lefties or righties, whatever specialist it is.
Actually playing against the trait.
Yeah, because like if you look at what it does to a player, I'm like, God, that's kind of a hit. Like I have a lot of lefties on. Like personally, I have a lot of lefties on my bench. I'm like, maybe I kind of want to load this lineup with lefties until the specialist trait is gone. Because I think you saw it. I don't know who was pitching, but somebody had a specialist trait, and they were playing at some moonshots. And
Yeah,
you
it
know the
was
moonshots are famous for having
switch.
basically all switch hitters.
It was him.
So yeah, and it just he was ineffective because nothing was working for him because the moonshots weren't. I think they only had like one hitter that was a righty, and it just worked. Where against me and in spring training, I also forgot who it was, but it was Leela Burns actually.
Burns, yeah.
Yeah, she had a specialist trait, and she was the only players who were able to do anything against her was Botley, DeSalsa, and Kennedy, who's a switch, and lefty. So
yeah, I think Murphy's the only switch in the majors. Or, I mean, specialist in the majors right now. And then I want to say there's probably
I think we have
like
a couple.
three.
There's a couple.
We rolled a couple during the stream to start the season. We rolled at least 2 or 3. So we've got like 4 or 5 in the minors right now. It'll be.
I think you'll start seeing like teams actually changing their lineup for that, which would be cool. You know, teams do that in real life. You know, it'd be cool if just change their lineup a little bit.
Right. Going into game number 3, we have the ball players coming back from behind and beating the Cyclones 4-3. Got 2 runs in the bottom of the 9th to win that. It was a 2-run RBI from Harry Shelton, I believe. It was his only hit on the game. It's really that top third of the ball players lineup. Kelly, Shelton, and Rick Dillastick. It's really been an opposing force for the ball players so far this season. Everyone else will have their games so far, but we also know about homer runs. That poor guy is like, I think 1 for 28 now, I think.
He's dying up here.
Yeah, and it's really unfortunate. It's really kind of surprising.
The ball players are just in a very interesting situation in their division so far this season. And then, of course, the main concern with them is the pitching, and I mean, I will say, like, Floral did phenomenal for her appearance, but there is some concerns about their bullpen going forward.
I think there's concerns about their whole pitching staff.
Yeah, I'd agree.
It's not doing well. They're forced to get Adrian Walker and Ela Page in the majors because they don't have any other options. Where, if you had a plentiful of pitchers, Walker and Ela Page may be in the minors and be getting better. Because I mean, Walker's good enough now, but she could be even more better. Even better if she was in the minors and getting a little bit more progression down there. Javier Northwest hasn't been the ace that hasn't been consistent as he usually is. Quash Ward though, Jesus, what the hell got into that man? Still 3.5 and he's still pitching like that with his ratings. I don't get it.
Quash Ward has always been that kind of player for whatever reason. I don't know if it's the submarine delivery, but he was always that like reliable guy. He was a relief pitcher originally for me, and then I made him a starter in season 3, I think. Mm-hmm. And if you don't face him against like a Skulls level lineup from last season, like if you put him in a spot he has decent success in facing, like he'll do what you think, like do more than you would expect, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm concerned also about the ball players hitting because, like you said, the top third doing most of the work. But if one of them's off, where's your other production going to come from? All
They
their runs came from Shelton. Shelton and De La Stick had both had 2 RBIs, and the rest of the lineup had the 2 hits.
they are fifth in the league in batting average, but I would be curious to see how much of that is front loaded from Kelly, Sheldon, Dilla Stick. Even
Well,
though
okay,
even though
Kelly.
Black didn't have a good game here, he's had better games. I think he had a really good game against the Skulls later
Well,
this week.
Kelly and De La Stick are over 400,
Okay, yeah,
and
but
then
I do
Shelton 344, and then Black is 355. And unfortunately, homer runs is 1 for 26 this season so far.
Yeah.
It's not going well for him.
And then for the Cyclones, it's another just one of these games where they just can't get anything going. Edwards didn't really last long in this one. Did have 7 strikeouts, 4 walks, 4 hits. Only 1 earned though, but just they can't pull it through. McDonaldson gives up 2 earned through 3. Isn't awful, but it's enough of a kill shot to lose the game, and then Aru gives it up. Basically, it looks like to the second player he faced.
With the Cyclones, there's too many duds in the lineup. Jabron Lames 190, Doug Kelly, which is a big piece, 190. Smash Perkins 136, Timber Woods 143, Spool Thomas 231. There's a lot of duds in the lineup, and I don't think they're hitting as well as they could. And yeah, once again, they're a good team on paper, but they're not putting it together. The pitching actually isn't terrible, save for Helix Fernandez.
Yeah,
but Aru actually not doing terrible. 11 innings, over just about 11 innings and 2/3, and he has a 3.8 ERA with his ratings and low accuracy. Yeah, 3.8 ERA.
yeah.
Kyle Edwards 1.3. It's just they can't put it together, and it's just been a consistent problem with them throughout their tenure in the SSBL.
You're saying Spool is what, 218 or something?
Like 231, yeah.
230, and like he had probably his best week this week by far. Like he was really good this week. He had 2 hits in this game, and then like at least a couple more against the Stingers later in the week. So that batting average definitely got a tick upward. This week
they just can't put it together for them. It's unfortunate. Everybody knows, or it's pretty much agreed that the Cyclones should be better than this. But
we've been saying that for a while too, though.
Yeah, and Pandora said, "Oh wait, he's talking about the ball players." But yeah, I'll talk about that after I'm done with the Cyclones. But the Cyclones, they don't do anything. The manager's not that active, but still a good team. It's just they can't put it together. Like the team should be one of the best or contending, but they've never been able to put it together. It's one of the great anomalies in this league.
And then last game of day 1, I kind of lost track of this game towards the end. I got busy. Wildcats come back, win over the Angels 7-5, and a lot of runs coming in late in the game. 5-run 8th inning off of Mans puts them to the win.
It was a clear victory for the Wildcats, and then it just started to bleed through towards the end, and it made it super interesting towards the end there.
Yeah, Angels came back with 3 in the top of the 9th, but it was not enough.
What's your guys' gauge on the Angels so far?
Just looks like Mans just got left out to dry in this game for some reason.
I mean, I personally think the Angels are not a lot worse, but I don't think that their record indicates what kind of team they are.
In a good way or a bad way?
In a way in which I think that they are overperforming. But I have also been very surprised with how solid, honestly, the pitching has been. So, maybe my gauge was just a little bit off.
I mean, yeah, Pacifica Northwest has been solid for them. Got pulled a little early in this one. It started to run away from her in the 5th inning, only went 4 2/3. 2 earned, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, 6 hits. I mean, the Angels are in the right area. Like, they have above average an above average batting average and a below average ERA. So they're one of the few teams that are in that, like, that are above both the averages for the league. Or are on the right side of the averages, I should say, not both above. But just kind of, and especially with this park, man, like, this park is just weird. I feel like I remember reading in the chat the home run that Bobby Jimbo hit was definitely like a little leaguer.
For me, home run is a legitimate home run if it's anything over 375. Because usually left field or right field is about 360, 370. And then center field is usually about 400. So if it was hit to center field and it was like 375, no. But it was hit to left or right and it was over 375, then sure.
I don't really remember where it was hit. I just remember reading that in chat. But, I mean, they definitely snuck away with this one. Like, I mean, I guess it was tied in the 5th inning, so it wasn't like they were getting beat or anything. But, you know, Wildcats get on fire late and kind of, it's not stealing one, but get the W.
Yeah, I mean, Wildcats look pretty good this year. I think Aggies made the right moves to make his team a contender in the Epic. You know, starting out 4-1 so far, have beaten some pretty, Bombers 6-0, Ball Players, Angels. But next 3 games, Serpents, Lumberjacks, High Rollers, so that'll be fun. We'll see how they do against those teams. I think Pandora makes a good point about the Angels. They're getting old.
Right, yeah.
They're getting terribly old. Which after next season, if nothing happens next season, what do you do? Do you start, with the youth? All is what Newmiller and Northwest and Monica, but then you kind of punted the last draft, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
With those picks.
They have a few pieces of the minors. Like, I don't remember who exactly, but
Monica's still in the minors.
It's not a huge. It's not enough to, like, completely replace all the spots they would need. Like, Jen Fury season 1, Stephanie Hanspringer season 1, Tina Tygo season 1, Alicia Woody, Buchanan, Martinelli. Like, a good chunk of that team are season 1s.
Yeah, it's like, and how long I think we've been saying this for a long time. How long do you go with this only female team,
Well, I mean, they're not doing too bad right now with it. Doing a lot better than they were. I mean, not a lot better. Again, we have a 5-game sample size, but they're doing better than they were last season.
True, but I don't know. I do agree with you, Faisal. I think they're playing a little bit above their competition or what they should be playing at. But they did beat the Serpents week 1.
That was a good game as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was like the second that the Serpents tied it up in the bottom of the 9th of that game, I thought it was over.
Yeah.
Like, I thought the Serpents had, like, the Angels had run out of time, but they pulled it together.
All right, going into day 2, High Rollers take an L. Stingers get their first win of the season, 4-2. Robin Ryan with a complete game here. Only Real's trouble was giving up a 2-run shot to Becky Foe. Otherwise, it was a fantastic outing for him.
Well, Robin Ryan, thank God, actually had a good start.
I remember you messaged me and you're like, "What happened?"
I was like, "How did we beat the High Rollers?" To be honest with you, Del Mars didn't pitch bad either, but Stinger started out hot with 2 runs from a. And I remember Woody was like, "Was that Matthew Kennedy?" Oh, it was Matthew Kennedy. But Matthew Kennedy, 2-run shot. That was nice. Top 3 of the lineup did pretty well. Got on base. Highgrass got another walk. But yeah, it's Robin Ryan pitched the entire game with only made a couple mistakes, but pretty much, only 5 runners on. Pretty much just, besides the 2 mistakes, dominated the High Rollers, which High Rollers lineup on paper should be one of the best ones.
I'm going to pose a question to y'all. Is it time for the panic button for the High Rollers? Over their last 2 games, they've combined for a total of 8 hits. They got 4 hits against you, and they also got 4 hits against the Serpents. And I think they got like 6 walks, so a 7th walk here. So,
well, here's all their averages so far. Long Stop 174, Uptown 235, Foe 250, Strudley 278, Max Range actually hitting 333, Piston Omen 235, Turnpike's only hitting 200, and the biggest one, Wooly Wooly's only hitting 150.
yeah, that's a big swing from last season. Like, he was probably their MVP from last season.
Yeah, Turnpike and Wooly are hitting 200 and 150 respectively. So the lineup is a huge issue right now, which it shouldn't be, but that's just the hand he was dealt.
I mean, eventually you'd think that would turn around, but like with what we've seen so far, granted they've only played 5 games, but with the pitching what it is and the offense not really doing much over the last couple of games, is it time to like panic a little bit? Like,
Possibly.
No, I think there's still plenty of time in the season. I think part of it's just RNG. Like the High Rollers, they'll recover. Like I feel like the High Rollers and the Angels are going to be switching in terms of the going forward, in terms of who is trying to get in those higher seeds for postseason. Like I think the High Rollers are a better team than the Angels, so I don't think it's necessarily time to worry. Just had a bad slew of games, but I personally think it will turn on.
Yeah, I think it'll regress to the mean. I mean, yes, it's a little bit worrying to start out with the lineup they have, but I think once Wooly and Turnpike, get online, they'll be fine. But 3 runs in the last 2 games is not ideal.
all right, did we go to Vikings Walkers? Vikings had this one pretty much in hand the entire time, then gave up 5 in the top of the 9th, made it interesting, but escaped with the win.
Cal Cooley sucks.
Yeah, he really does.
Not against me.
Walkers actually ended up out hitting the Vikings in the end. Take a look here.
Basically, it was another typical Vikings game where they scored enough runs for their pitching to do the rest. Joy Holiday, another fantastic start. Makes you think maybe you should have taken her instead of. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, Vikings still playing their game. Get enough runs for the pitching to do their thing, and then the bullpen seals it out because they got a lot of good arms in bullpen. Even though Cal Cooley has been having it rough, he's good. They got Paul George, and then Butts is pretty all right too.
Oof, Cal Cooley, 12 1/3 innings pitched, 23 hits, 13 earned runs, 5 walks, 4 Ks, a home run, a 9.48 ERA, and a 2.27 WHIP.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, I think maybe it's time to think about maybe putting Paul George or Joe Butts as a long reliever. I'd probably put Paul George.
I would put Butts. Butts historically has been a really solid performer.
Yeah, and he's only pitched 1 2/3 so far. But it's Vikings. It's all the starting pitching,
Yeah.
Minshew, Holiday, and then Barnstormer, who probably was a Cy Young last year. Just they're dominant. They're dominant.
I mean, Holiday through 2 starts this season, 14 innings pitched, only 2 earned runs, 12 combined base runners, a 1.28 ERA, and a 0.857 WHIP. Yeah, that's pretty solid.
Yeah, Walker's, we're pretty much getting shut out the entire game until the last inning. Too little, too late. Alyssa Grubbs didn't do too bad. But Tamayo
Yeah,
kind of let that game get away.
It's really Tamayo's fault with that loss.
Mhm.
I mean, Grubbs, that's a quality start. 3 earned through 6 in the third. That is legitimately
Yeah.
a quality start. 5 strikeouts. I mean, that's fantastic. And just Tamayo, man, is just getting blown up. Let's see here. Tamayo. Yikes. He's even worse. 4 in a third, 12 hits, 12 earned runs, 8 walks, 5 strikeouts, 3 home runs, 24.88 ERA, and a 4.6 whip. That is definitely not it, Chief.
No, but Walker's it's you get one good game from them and then you get a bad game, you get another, it's either like they're playing really well where they're winning 17-2 or 12-2, or they're getting blown out. Like I said, 5-7, yes, but they all got all 5 of the they were losing 7-0 throughout the whole game.
Right.
And they were getting dominated the entire game. They lost to the Dragons 16-0. Vikings 14-6. Like, it's either I feel like this season they're either really, really good and they're dominating the entire game, or they're just out of it within like the first 3 innings.
But they're also suffering, I think, a little bit of that lumberjacks disease. Like, they escaped the overdrafts in extra innings, but in that game there were like 3 or 4 straight innings where they left runners in scoring position, and the same thing happened here too. I think there was at least 3 or 4 innings where they left runners left in scoring position, and so like it's just a little bit of bad luck with the that can't get the hit in the right place and just leaving those runners on.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely better from last year's Walkers, but again, I do pose this question. They're very, very, very old. If it doesn't work this season, is it time to, time to sell?
Well, their entire roster is about to get absolutely blissed into oblivion.
Because I think they're literally their entire roster is season 1 or 2.
I mean,
they've
Texas
got
isn't-
enough draft capital as well as in the minors to, like, they're not gonna have to do a full rebuild, like, unlike a team like the Wrong Fielders, right? Like, it's not as dire as that situation. But even the Wrong Fielders have some players in their minors.
But you have to admit, I think for season 5 draft, the big draft, they kind of punted that draft a little bit.
Oh, without doubt.
Like,
I mean, yeah, that was really the last thing.
I think that was
really did, and
that was the last draft. Yeah,
that's where they took like Yankee No Brim. I think that's where Sherry Poppins came from.
Yeah, and they had a first round pick, but traded it to me where I took High Grass, where they could very well have someone like High Grass or Max Range.
Yeah, they traded that first round pick. That's why they have Ty Sasso. He was originally a Cyclone, and then the Cyclones used that pick on either Aru or Flames, I think.
Oh, that was Unicorns. Never mind.
I think the Cyclones had like 3 firsts in that draft.
No, I think Aru they had. I think that was their pick, and then I think Lames or the other, because I think they had 2 picks after. Because I think I was back to back, and then there was a pick after me, and then they were back to back. The Cyclones were back to back. Where no, they took Lames and Morello. And with those, I think with one of their picks, I don't know exactly.
Aru was 4th, and then Morello and Lames. Yeah.
So it's just they have enough capital, like Isaac was saying, but it's just you have a lot of pieces here to sell. It's just what are they going to be worth after they get blown into oblivion? Because once the season ends, we were not going to allow trading until the stats, the new ratings come out. So. It's like what kind of value you're gonna have and get for these players, like Kip Shaw or like Kip Shaw or Ortiz after the big hit. Like, do you trade Texas at that point to get more capital? I don't know.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it's a blend of both. Like they still have some players, but they definitely will have, I think, more holes than they could fill. So
I think they won't need a full rebuild, but it's going to take them a season or 2 to get back to competitiveness as they keep going with this. After.
All right, going into Game 3, we have the Skulls taking one from the Ball Players 7-6. A lot of offense from the Skulls this game. Jadinklish Morgoon 4 for 4, Brock Yellow 2 for 3, and then a pair of hits from Milo Dakota, Warden Campbell, and Randy Raffskeller. Milo Dakota is having himself, I think, quietly a really, really solid season.
Yeah, he really is.
Let me see if I can find him fast.
But once again, we're gonna, I mean, throughout the lineup, the ball players did well. But Kelly 2 hits, Shelton 1 for 3, and then De La Stick again 2 for 3. But again, Black actually had 3 RBIs. But the bottom, after Black, the rest of the lineup went only had 4 hits between 6 batters.
Yeah, from Barker to Shipwright, it's
Mhm.
4 for 5, 9, 14, 17, 20, 4 for 21.
Yeah. So again, is this sustainable? Like in the play, like what if someone like Kelly or Shelton or De La Stick has a bad game? Like you're in the playoffs and they have a bad game, you're instantly going to lose that game.
Well, I mean, first they have to make it there, and like
Mhm.
right now, like looking at how like the other division in the Epic has kind of beaten itself up, I honestly wouldn't be against the fact that all the wild card spots from the Fina, or I forget, from the Wildcats, Bombers, High Rollers,
Mhm.
High Rollers, Unicorns division. Like right
Yeah,
now, I feel like the Serpents might be the only team from the other division getting into the playoffs.
that's definitely a possibility. Still waiting on the Unicorns to regress back to where they're supposed to be, but
But yeah, I did find Milo Dakota. He's hitting 8 for 22. He's got 2 home runs, 4 RBIs, 4 runs scored, 2 strikeouts, hitting 364 on the season.
that's pretty good for a player that not really expected to do anything.
And he doesn't have a whole lot of power, like I think.
Mhm. But top of the lineup did well for the Skulls. Lots of RBIs and hits throughout the lineup. Dakota had a pair of RBIs. Morgoon, Dom, Yellow, Hackett all had RBIs, with Raskeller adding another one. So good game for them. A lot of walks on their side as well. Dozier struggled for the ball players. I think he's their third, fourth starter? He's their third starter.
Third starter.
Walker came in for 3 2/3, but Dylan shutting it down with 3 2/3 and no runs. That's out of the bullpen. That's pretty damn good. 2 hits, 1 walk, only 3 base runners. Shutting it down for the Skulls. Skulls have made a lot of moves this season, and it's hard to gauge them, honestly. A lot of close games for them that they lost, or beating the Wildcats 3-1. But
Well, I think trading Brainstorm, I think they're accepting the fact that they're not going to be a contender this season. I'm not sure. They're not in full on tank mode, but I think they saw the writing on the wall. Like they've sent out Trudy Fruity, Denver Brainstorm, and Dante Smalls is gone. Like I think they've seen what's to come and are readying themselves pretty much.
yeah, not in full, because they have a lot of pieces. I don't know what their draft capital is because they've traded so many picks and then brought in so many picks.
They don't have a lot, at least not of their own. Over the last week or so, they did gain a couple. So they got, for season 7, they've got what ended up being my second round pick, and then they have the Lumberjacks second, and then for season 8 they also got a pair of picks. They got the Lumberjacks first in season 8, and then they have their own third. So 4 picks in the next 2 seasons does not a rebuild make, but it's better than where they were. I think they literally had no picks over these next 2 drafts. So
Yeah, but Skulls, yeah, I think I agree with you. They saw the writing on the wall. They're not really contenders, but they can still make the playoffs and make some noise. They're still a decent team. Lineup's still all right. It's just the pitching is not what it used to be from last season.
Okay, Pandora, I just now saw, I don't have a separate chat window open. You said, think they have a shot this year, so they are probably going to take those players down with the ship. They should be moving. Who are you talking about? I just now saw
He was
that.
talking about the Walkers,
He was talking about the Walkers. Oh, okay, I got you.
but yes, he's right about that.
All right, last game of day 2. Dragons beat the Knights 10-4.
Barely got that 10th run in.
This was a crazy game looking at some of the in-game score lines. 10 runs off of 7 hits for the Dragons. Had 11 walks, but 10 strikeouts. Just a really, really bizarre game. They benefited off of 3 Knights errors in this game that probably directly resulted in like at least 3 or 4 runs.
No, 10 or 6 of their 10 runs were unearned against the Knights.
Oh my gosh.
Because Toe Jam went 3 2/3 with only 3 runs allowed, and Smalls only had 1 run allowed. So 6 of their 10 runs were unearned. It's just Knights. I don't know who made those errors. Isaac, did you do this game?
Vinny Bates had 2, and then
I don't know if I casted this game.
I did day 2. Vinny Bates had 2 of them from trying to throw out runner stealing, and then Shaz Leathers.
I know exactly what it was because I clipped.
Shaz Leathers had dropped the ball, like a pop up right behind first base.
He dropped a pop up, which resulted in the single. Then immediately afterwards, there was a throw on a double steal
that went into left field.
One run scored, and the very next pitch, Stub Esposito hit it to the wall and brought in the other run. As a child, it gets from bad to worse because it was just a comedy of errors.
And then this was another game with Freishak hitting a 3-run home run. I'm pretty sure that's 4 straight. It would be 3 straight games because he's at 3 home runs this season. But he is definitely on fire.
Yes, he's definitely on fire. Esposito 2 hits. Sickly adding a pair of hits as well. Just Dragons just benefited from, even though they went 7 for 30 the entire game. They only had 7 hits. They benefited from mistakes from the Knights, errors, 11 walks, just timely hitting.
Freishak leads the league in RBI, 16.
Yeah, I said that at the beginning, didn't I?
Oh.
No, he just wanted to point that out again. And
also, just so you guys know, if you refresh your stats, like I don't know if you have to like close it or open it, you can see in batting all of the extra base hits are now loaded in. I have not touched the batting leaders. I've added in the single, double, triple like columns, but I haven't put in from the batting pivot table because I know it'll mess up like the team names and stuff. But that is now all of the extra base hits are in the stats.
Thank you again, Pandora. But
I mean,
can we talk about Arns Miele with 2 1/3, no hits, 4 strikeouts?
Yeah, that was probably the best Arns Miele has ever looked in his life.
That's his only appearance this season.
Is it really?
Well, how long did he go for in that major stat dump?
2.1 is
okay. So he had a 1-out appearance earlier this season.
Okay.
Through so far in his 2 appearances, only 2.2 innings pitched, but 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, no hits, no earned runs, no home runs.
Well, he's got that combo now of, I think, really high velocity. And the junk not too far behind it. His accuracy is what's off, but like it's around 50-ish if I recall. So that's a Peach Dropkin level stat line, like build out, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
So like that could be like a serious thing going forward. Let me see, retriever. I think Dropkin might have a little bit more. If I can read. Dropkin 97, 99, 71. And then Miele 93, 78, 49. Okay, it's worse than I thought it was, but still similar. And then going into day 4, we just had this freaking bizarre game. Cyclones in extra innings over the Stingers 10-9. And like we talked about this before the stream, but if you look at like the pitcher stats, like we had, I think, 5 combined hits in the last 7 or so innings of this game. If you go from Lancaster, Aru, Turner, that's 5. That's 9 2/3, 3 hits. And then Gardenhoser, Buns, Mic Drop, that's 5, 6, 7. And even Landry's 7, that's 8, that's 3. So 6 hits combined over the last 7. But we had, like, the Stingers started off scoring, 9 runs in the first 3 innings. Like, it's just a horrendously bizarre game, like, in all.
Yeah, it was not like Danny California isn't walking people either. Yeah, she has 6 walks, but it's just she's just getting hit 11 hits. Like she's just getting hit. She's not doing terrible, but she's just they're just getting hits off her. Helix Fernandez, another terrible start for him. Bullpen actually did pretty well. It's just the Stingers just stopped scoring after 9 runs. Just all of a sudden ran out of gas. Unfortunate, but at least we aren't losing 16-3 anymore. At least we're keeping it close. We're in the games. We aren't terrible anymore. We're just not good yet.
And it's really bizarre from, a Cyclones bullpen that has probably been their crux this season. Aru going 5 innings and only gave up 4 walks. Like, it's just everything about this game is weird. Like, we had a combined 21 walks. We had more walks than we had. Oh no, that's the run column. Never mind. We had 21 walks and 26 hits.
Yeah, a lot of walks this game. Let's see. Kygrass had 4 alone. 1 for 2 with the 4 walks. So hey, nice for the OBP. But it's just it's unfortunate. But hey, top 5 pick incoming.
And then we have pitcher of the year candidate right now, Daryl Cage, absolutely locking down the Retrievers. Wrongfielders win this one 6-1. Cage going 8 innings, giving up only 1 earned, 7 hits, a walk, and 4 strikeouts. Then Hank Murphy with an inning of relief.
And Dropkin literally dropped the ball.
Yeah, this game is really bizarre thinking about it. Like, the Wrongfielders came into this week and actually still are the worst hitting team in the league and got 13 hits off of Bo Dan and Peach Dropkin. Excuse me, what?
RNG for the win. But yeah, Daryl Cage is a god.
I mean,
another start from him where he shut down this lineup, even though they made a less than ideal trade. But 6-1, like Wrongfielders, they'll look terrible one game and then look absolutely dominant the next game. I don't get them.
I mean, Cage has all 3 of their wins. 22 1/3, 18 hits, 5 earned, 6 walks, 9 strikeouts, a 2.01 ERA, and a 1.07 WHIP. And I think he is a season 4, if I remember correctly. Yeah. So hey, Pandora, you want to turn your own pitching around? Go buy Daryl Cage.
There's no way he trades Daryl Cage.
No, he didn't. What? No way Pandora trades for Daryl Cage, or no way Lasers lets go of Daryl Cage, or both. Let's take a look. Who hit in this game? Rog Lance, Tracy Branch, Taco Burns, Trudy Fruity, the new acquisition, actually had a pretty good game. 2 for 5. I think had as many hits, if not more, hits in this one game for the Wrongfielders than she had all of last season with the Gauchos. Drew Haven even did well. Like, just a complete reversal for the wrong fielders. And I mean, granted, we'll talk about the trades later on, but like, one player does not a team make. I mean, even if you do add Judd French to this lineup, you maybe get another run or two or something, but like, it's probably still a loss. So like, maybe like the writing on the wall was correctly read. I mean, we could talk about it here in just a little bit, but definitely interesting. Then we have Knights Lumberjacks. Knights, what was a great pitchers duel for the majority of the game, went into the ninth inning 1-1, and then the wheels fell off the pitching at the end again for the Lumberjacks. Steel Flex was left in just a smidge too long, gave up a 3-run shot, and then I think it was Raleigh Fingus who gave up another 3-run shot, and ended up being a 7-1 loss for the Lumberjacks. But yeah, Steel Flex, other than that, had a really clean game. 8 innings pitched, 7 hits, 4 earned, a pair of walks and strikeouts, and home runs. And then Fingus, like I said, another 3-run home run. Miles Hurley, the starter for the Knights, did really well. 5 2/3, only 3 hits, did give up 5 walks though. 1 earned run, a strikeout. And Dante Smalls with his best outing of the season. I guess I overlooked this. I didn't realize this. 1 2/3, and only gave up a walk, had 2 strikeouts, and got the win for the Knights.
Yeah, but I think the game was well out of hand at that point.
Oh, I mean, yeah, definitely. Like 6 in the ninth, like that's definitely a pretty big kill shot. Only 4 hits for the Lumberjacks in this one, and 3 of them were Tank Tygo.
Yeah, the rest of the lineup for the Lumberjacks, and we were talking about, I think we talked about this earlier, it's just, besides Tygo and a couple other guys, it's not working.
Are we seeing like very similar comparable things that are happening to both the Lumberjacks and the High Rollers? Like offenses not performing up to what they should be, and pitching that is, I would say the Lumberjacks starting pitching is better than what the High Rollers have, but both pins aren't great. But then the High Rollers do have Tipsy as their long reliever, but she can be hit or miss sometimes. She's been better since the update, but
I'm gonna give you this stat. First 3 games, they won a combined 23-12. Last 3 games, they have lost a combined 6-24. Something changed, which they got destroyed by the Dragons earlier, 12-1, and they lost to the Knights. Two teams they could very well see in the playoffs if they get to that point. Dragons and Knights, and
yeah, I mean,
you get to the Vikings and Walkers now. It's like, oh, you get the Vikings now, and it's like, oh,
I mean, it was a huge week for this division because those 3 teams, Knights, Dragons, and Lumberjacks, were all tied coming into this week, and the Dragons come up smelling like a freaking bed of roses, just demolishing these 2 teams.
Mm-hmm. And it's just now you get the Vikings, and I believe it's Barnstormer. So again, with your hitting issues, if you can't hit off Miles Hurley, what makes you think you're gonna hit off Brett Barnstormer if he's on?
Right.
And unfortunately, your bats have to come online, and you're facing Barnstormer, so should be reigning Cy Young winner. So it's just it's not looking good for the Lumberjacks. I do agree with you. They're in the same boat as the High Rollers. They did get blown out against the Dragons, and they pitched pretty well until the 9th inning against the Knights, but
the Lumberjacks have a really tough schedule like the rest of the season. Knights, Walkers, Wildcats, Knights again, then Walkers again, Dragons, Vikings, Retrievers. Like, that's I
don't think there's one easy game in that.
No, like
there's not one easy game in that.
Depending
schedule.
what the Retrievers do the rest of the trade window, that may trade one way or another, and it'll be interesting to see how this team, like how the Walkers and Lumberjacks fight against one another, because those are teams that we're kind of seeing similar problems. People left on base. I think I'd probably favor the Lumberjacks. I think their starting pitching is better than the Walker starter pitching, but we won't know until we see these two teams face off. But very, very hard schedule for the Lumberjacks the rest of the way. Definitely will be interesting to see how they can, what they can do the rest of the way.
Yeah, it's going to be a grind for the Lumberjacks again. If they want to make the playoffs, they got to figure it out, and they got to figure it out fast because you're not going to get any reprieve at this point. Vikings, Walkers, Wildcats. There's no reprieve in there, and the rest of the season, there's no room there. You can't be making mistakes like this or be hitting like this and expect to try and make the playoffs because the heroic is tough, and you could be that one team that could be on the odd one out.
And I'll let you guys carry this last one. I'm not allowed to comment on it, but I'll say this: Serpents win a game in where they struck out more than they got base hits.
Yeah, they had strikeouts. Oh my god! Anyway, yeah, they had
Serpents are just the better squad, Like they just Sammy Green did Sammy Green things,
This is like season 3
blocks.
Sammy Green. Like, we haven't seen this Sammy Green in a long time.
This is Sammy Green post update.
But just Bombers just hitting didn't show up again. Serpents, Sammy Green carried the team. They only needed to score 4 runs to win the game. They made a trade for Judd French that he added a RBI and a run scored. So good for them on that. Kate Luna didn't pitch terrible. She just labored throughout the game.
She got hurt.
Oh, she got hurt. I didn't know she got hurt.
Yeah, she got hurt. She struck out someone and then got a blistered finger. And
Is that any time missed?
No, I don't think so. I think Fizek looked it up during the stream. But yeah, got a strikeout, and it was weird because strikeout, but then it had the she just gave up a walk animation, and it was really strange. I just thought it was a glitch, and then she had the blistered finger and got one more out. Then it was turned over to Leverage.
Yeah, but Serpents, third straight win. Good for them. Or 4th straight win, actually. Good for them after losing the Angels. Only allowed to combine 5 runs in those 4 wins. So the pitching looks good so far. They'll have they're having a couple tests, Wildcats and Vikings. So we'll see how that goes for them. I'm actually looking forward to that Wildcats game. See if they really can compete with that, with the top team, in my opinion, so far in the Epic.
Fun fact, guys, if you go ahead and load up in the Dropbox the majors compiled with extra base hits, or with extra, I think, whatever it is, extra, that actually has on-base percentage, slugging, and OPS all factored in.
Oh.
Fancy stuff.
But anyway, so that was games, all the games this week. Can we talk about the trades now?
Yeah, go for it.
Everyone panicked.
Oh my gosh, everyone panicked. Everyone panicked so hard.
The amount of panicking in this league was hilarious. Like, first trade I don't understand. Why are you trading Pete Nokia and Jacinda Smith for a couple of picks? Pete Nokia I don't care about Jacinda Smith. She's whatever. But Pete Nokia, he could have been a good pitcher. Or at least a decent one.
Yeah,
I
mean,
Pete Nokia.
I think the thought process is maybe like in upcoming drafts, the pitching core is better. I think that's where the mindset is.
But it wasn't that much better last season.
I do want to talk about the one trade that happened. So initially there was a trade in which the Bromfielders gave up a lot more than they got back. They are also given around a round 3 pick. they did not have that round 3 pick to give up. And so then when the negotiations started again, both parties agreed to just do the deal without the 3rd round pick, which I think works better for the Rom Fielders. They are going to use DeQuan Smith as a compensation pick. So it's that one is a little bit of a better trade, but also a little bit like let me give you guys some mindset. When I said on Monday, everyone talk to Lasers and trade with him, I meant like get rid of like Baylin Curtis and
Or
like
Tracy Branch.
yeah, or like some of these other people that like could get a no size. One of the reasons, by the way, that Skulls trade went through is because Elvis Riggs was going to be really hard to get rid of. So that's the main reason why that trade happened.
Just getting rid of Pete Nokia, and Pandora said it, like 200 plus pitcher for a 2nd rounder, and he has progression, and plus he's still going to get progression, and you can have a plus 20. He was going to be a really good pitcher, and you gave him up. Like I don't get Pete Nokia getting traded. Like that's the one thing I don't get. And then you turn around and get even more older players with Daquan and Trudy. Well, Trudy Fruity's not old. Is Daquan old?
Daquan's
He
season
is.
1.
Yeah.
But he's an original wrong fielder.
Again, the whole
So
point was to
I just don't get it. I
Well,
just don't get it.
the whole point is to get a compensation pick.
The idea is
But that's going to be a season 4. Or not season 4, round 4.
Yes, but again, like it's
pick
pick your poison, you know.
I don't know. And then you give up a pick. Trudy Fruity's nice, but Trudy Fruity, she hasn't done anything really meaningful since she's been in the league. It's just I never understood the trade. The Pinocchio thing, that's really hard for me because I don't know. You could have had Daryl Cage and Pinocchio be your 1-2. That would have been really nice. And also, first basemen are plentiful in this league. There's a lot of first basemen.
Let's talk about like we already talked about Lumberjack Skulls, Judd French trade. I think that's a fair return for Judd French. I'm just not convinced the Retrievers should be tanking. Or not necessarily quote unquote tanking, but I don't think the Retrievers should be rebuilding.
It's more
No.
than I got for Judd French 2 seasons ago.
I think the Serpents overpaid a little bit. I think the first would have been fine, I guess. But I think you could have got Judd French for 2 seconds, to be honest with you. But I agree with Isaac. I don't think why the Retriever is selling. Like you guys are still contenders. You made it to the Super Series last season.
I mean, I will say that, yes, but like, I mean, and granted, this could just be like seeing what you want to see, but I mean, the Retrievers did just lose to the wrong fielders and fairly one-sidedly. I mean, I don't think adding Judd French to that lineup makes a 5-run difference. Like, maybe he's reading the right thing. Like, honestly, like, you know, with just how, I mean, granted, like, I do agree it's maybe a little bit early. I mean, but we still have 2 weeks left until the deadline, and the Retrievers had only played, I think, 4 or 5 games up to that point, but maybe it was the right thing to do because, you know, the Retrievers have struggled, you know, haven't had that same magic to start out with, you know, right now sitting as 4th, 5th worst team in batting average right now. I mean, the ERA is good, but I mean, I'm a testament. I'm agreeing, like, you know, you can't win games if your team can't hit the freaking ball.
Talk about ask the Vikings.
Here's my thing is that, like, especially how RNG this game is, it really comes down to what happens in postseason. They're only a half game back, or they were at least, from the overdrafts when that trade was made. If they get that number 1 in their division, they only have to go through 3 teams to win the Super Series.
And last season, they didn't look dominant at all last season. They were just a good team. And they went on to go undefeated up until the Super Series.
Exactly. That's what my mindset is as well.
Same thing with the Lumberjacks a couple seasons ago. They didn't look dominant and then went on to win the whole thing. Yeah, Pandora's right. You just have to make playoffs at this point. Regular season, just make playoffs. And once you playoffs, it's a whole new game. All it takes is for you to catch fire and all of a sudden win. Just keep on winning. If it was like based on ratings and everything, then the Moonshots probably would have won at least one or two at this point. But I agree with both of you. I do see, this might be the right time because this team is on the older side, but at the same time, you're still a contender. You were contending for getting out of the heroic. I mean, yes, the Knights and the Dragons look scary, and the Moonshots are still a threat as well. But you were still a good team in that conference. Also, did the Lumberjacks do enough by adding Brainstorm?
It's certainly scary, but I think their main issue is the pitching.
But I mean,
although
if you look at
also their issue is Jose Strangelove is still in their lineup.
But if you look at Brainstorm's batting so far this season, he only has one hit. Now that Lindsey McMaster is out of the way, he is now in line with like some of the worst batting in the league. It's now Bush League, homer runs, him, then McMaster, Buck Ball. Like those are like probably the top 5.
Two Lumberjacks down there.
To be fair, the one hit he does have is a double.
I don't know. The Lumberjacks gave up a lot for this.
I mean, they did get youth. I mean, Yellow or Green. I don't remember
Season
what
5.
Season 5. And
she was taken in the 3rd round, I believe.
A 199 pitching, so she could get that plus a 20 camp at the end of the season. So, I don't think it's terrible by any means. Slap maybe 10 into junk and then 10 into velocity. She'd be 78, 52, 89. So I think she'll be fine going forward.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, it was a lot, but I think the return somewhat justifies the expense.
Yeah.
Do we want to take a peek into next week?
Well, I think real quick, just like look at the standings real quick.
Okay. Like actually go to
Yeah. They should be updated.
divisional.
They are updated.
Both divisional and standings should be updated.
So, Dragons 1, Overdrafts 2. I mean, it's a tie right now, but Knights would technically be 3. They have a head-to-head win over the Vikings, who would then be 4. And then it is a coin flip between 5 and 6. Lumberjacks, Walkers, which you could probably give to the Walkers because of RD. We need to make like an actual like a divisional or like some sort of standings with like a bracket, kind of like how we have in the season, the schedule Discord.
I'll do that for postseason when it actually happens, because I think the standings does a relatively good. The standings graphic does a relatively good job of showing the piece. But like once a bracket actually happens, because like it's just a pain in the butt to move all of those like individual
standings. Is not updated for some reason.
No, I guess I didn't update it then. So I guess division is the only one that's updated. I'll have to get to that.
Serpents, Wildcats technically tied for top. They're both 4-1. Then I'm sitting at 3 just because I've played more games than everyone. Angels right behind. Unicorns sitting at the 5 spot. And then Ball Players with the 6 seed. It's absolutely hilarious that the Unicorns are the 5th seed right now.
The Unicorns get the 6th seed and win the entire league.
I'm done with this league at that point.
And then next season bring in Mabel Sparks and Trey Flip-Flop and there are 6 other minors pitchers, and holy cow.
I'd be done with this league if they won it. Oh,
Also, real quick, in terms of some of the batting leaders, so for OPS, at around 1.5 is Murph Kelly. Got Gage Deputy batting 1.47.
Yeah, Deputy is having a really good season. I'm regretting trading him.
McLarge and Za, the Serpents duo double trouble, is 1.4, 1.41. What team is Gage Deputy?
A Viking. She got traded from the Ball Players to the Vikings.
Rig Porter at 1.4. Ura Irons batting 1.379 OPS. Some crazy. And then in terms of home run leaders, Murph Kelly has 4 home runs, as long as Wreck Dreams.
Wreck Dreams, yeah.
Vicky Marshall with 3 triples is the most of any player.
Harry Von Crum has 10 walks.
Yeah.
I mean, Highgrass doesn't lead the leagues. Fuck.
Highgrass has 9. There's 3 people that have 9. Murph Kelly, Billy O'Connell, and Dink Highgrass.
Lord.
Yeah, that's
Even
the
though Highgrass
most.
doesn't have a high average. He walks a crap ton.
Yeah, that Von Crum's the only one in double digits with walks.
But if we want to look up to next season, Monday looks absolutely loaded. Or day 1 looks absolutely loaded.
Yeah, day 1 is looking, holy cow, yeah. Moonshot's first game of the second half. Serpents Wildcats for first place in the Epic. Skulls of Rock High Rollers could promise to be a high-scoring game, and those offenses are capable. Lumberjacks Vikings, Lumberjacks desperate to get back on the right side of things. Vikings still kind of fighting for that Legends. Like, could be a half game back with a win.
Squared, you said that you could do Tuesday next week?
No, not Tuesday. Monday or Wednesday.
Oh, because I can't do Tuesday at all next week at all.
Okay, I can do Tuesday. I'll survive.
Okay.
If I need to do Tuesday, I can survive.
We'll have Whitney will have you do Tuesday, I guess, and then Square, would you prefer Monday or Wednesday?
Monday. Earlier
Alright,
in the
so
week.
then I'll do Wednesday.
Because Wednesday is usually my busy day of my work.
Let me see if I can do Wednesday. I'm pretty sure I can do Wednesday.
If I need to do Wednesday, I can do Wednesday. It's usually my busy day.
Actually, I'm getting my second dose Wednesday.
All right, I'll do Wednesday.
All right, and I'll do Monday.
But my game I'm looking most forward to is Serpents Wildcats, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, Dragons Vikings. If the Vikings get a win against the Lumberjacks, Dragons Vikings is for first place in the Legends.
Yep, that's another great game.
And that will be 4v2. I
2.
think. So a bit in your favor there, because Vikings 4 is
That'll be Hannah Bradley.
Hannah Bradley versus Woodward.
Wait, no. Hannah Bradley just
went.
pitched. It's 3. It's Do Some Team.
Do Some Team versus Woodward. So definitely an interesting matchup there. Bombers Angels, Ball Players Unicorns. Overdrafts get to play again to see if they can keep the lead in that division. Moonshots have 2 games this week. Really important. I mean, Moonshots have to at least go 4-3 to get to 500 to at least have a shot at the playoffs. But their back half of the season is Knights, Gauchos, High Rollers, Dragons, Retrievers, Vikings, Overdrafts. I mean, that Knights game is no guarantee. We've seen both teams. We've seen both the Moonshots and Knights be pretty good, and we've seen both teams be pretty bad. So, like, it will be interesting to see, like, what team takes the field. Those Knights should be able to beat the Gauchos, but who knows what magic the Gauchos could roll out if they put up. I mean, so far this B-list squad for the Gauchos has been a juggernaut. Have a game against the High Rollers. Both teams kind of struggling. I mean, could be interesting. huge game against the Dragons. Like this is going to be an interesting struggle for the Moonshots. Like I definitely wouldn't say by any stretch they're guaranteed to flip that record around. Anything else?
No, I think next week is looking to be very, very good. A lot of meaningful matchups next week, and you know what? You're kind of seeing this season too, because last season there was I think almost every day you had a matchup where it was like it's two tanking teams against each other, you know.
Mhm.
But this season it's a lot of teams, you know, like meaningful matchups. You know, Gaucho's 1-5, but they're still playing well. After beating the Knights 14-2, Stingers still is actually entertaining game as they can actually score and play the game of baseball for once. Unicorns, ball players, you know, Unicorns are taking, but they're 3-3. So there's not a lot of games where they're just okay. Turn your brain off. It's or tune out. It's not really a meaningful game,
Right. And like this week and next week. Next week is our interleague matchups, and then the close of the trade deadline. So it's going to be a very interesting next couple of weeks. It's going to be
is that after
spicy.
week 7?
Yeah, it will close after week 7. So like Saturday night, like midnight, going from Saturday into Sunday, I believe would be the end of the trade period.
I'm not making any trades unless people want my older players. So that's just.
I didn't aim to go full circle and become the team that doesn't really trade with other teams, but I'm kind of happy with where my team is right now, even like towards the future.
I'm actually happy with what my team is because we aren't getting like I've said a couple of times, we aren't getting blown out anymore. We're actually in these games now. Like a couple of hits here, a couple of hits go our way, or a couple of games go our way, we could easily be 3-3. It's just unfortunate. We just got bad luck. 1-5. It's fine. Even if we lose, we get a better pick, and we have a couple of guys in the minors and pitching on the way with DeVecchio, who's looking like a bona fide ace now. But yeah, it's good to see that rebuilding actually works in this league. Like a full rebuild. Whitney, you cheated. No, I'm just kidding.
Look what it's got me, 5-3.
You cheated. You traded for shit. I'm doing the full thing. But yeah. Gauchos, I'm interested. I think Gauchos. Who do you think for a rebuild? Who has higher potential, Gauchos or Unicorns?
I mean,
one of them is 3-3 this season.
But like in the future, like when all their guys are ready to go.
Again, one of them is 3-3 this season and still has potential and has all of their best pitchers in the minors.
It's RNG.
Well, everything is RNG. That's entire league is RNG.
I think the Gauchos, with the capital they have and all the picks they gotten and how good K6 and some of their guys look, I think they have a higher potential.
I mean, it's tough. Like we saw, this B-list squad for the Gauchos just beat the Knights and put up 9 against the Moonshots. But I mean, Unicorn sitting at 3-3 right now with what is also their B-list squad. So I mean, you can see that these franchises are deep with pretty much loaded up minors, and then still putting up runs in the majors. So I mean, right now, I guess I'd be biased to the Unicorns. I mean, if Irons keeps up this ridiculous hitting pace, and they've got Lars Hunter with the Specialist, who's done pretty well this season, and like Mabel Sparks, #1 overall down there, getting better. Valet Monroe, Betty Golden. I think Unicorns have really, and in a hurry, have gotten themselves in a really good spot. A lot faster than I ever thought the Unicorns could possibly get rebuilt in.
They also still have Jose Odor.
Yeah.
That is true. Their minor staff is much better. But anyway, any last thoughts from you guys?
I can't think of anything else.
Getting to the heat of it right now.
Yeah, it keeps on getting spicier. I mean, we've got games for first place, conference wise, division wise next week. We've got interleague games a week after, then trade deadline. It's going to be a crazy couple of weeks. But I think that will do it. We will see you. And once again, Josh had some sort of technical difficulty or something with minors. He posted that they'll be posted on Monday, and I guess you'll just see him then, I guess. And then Squared, you're going Monday, right?
No, I am.
Okay, so we'll probably will you do what you did last time, or that was because you
That
You
I mean, it's
started
because
early.
I misguided the time. I might like host some type of like I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Anyway, we'll see you guys Monday. Bye.
Right.